This program is presented live from the Adelaide Festival Centre by Caltex and their distributors, The News and Channel 9.
The big question now is, who will win the Sports Star of the Year award for the past 12 months? They can be won only by South Australians and are given for outstanding sporting achievements anywhere in the world. The monthly award is the Silver Oscar, and the Sports Star of the Year wins the Golden Oscar.
It is my extreme pleasure to announce the winner of the Golden Oscar as the best sportsman or sportswoman of the year to that international cricketer, Neil Hawke.
That was the first Sports Star of the Year, Neil Hawke in 1965. Since then, these awards have recognised the achievements of South Australia's top sportsmen and women. Nine's Wide World of Sports tonight brings you the Silver Award winners, together with the announcement of the 1987 Sports Star of the Year. Each month, the News has published a list of the top achievers in South Australian sport, and it's been a top year for sport in this state, with achievements at the highest level. Tonight, we honour 12 of the best, the Silver Award winners. And now, your host for tonight's presentation, Tony Charlton.
Thank you. Well, of course, it's been a long time that this has all been going on and been a focal point of great sporting endeavour. And I'm reminded that Gordon Swartz was the first presenter so many years ago, and it's lovely that he's here. We welcome the champions and those they beat, because as our host this evening told us earlier at the Festival Centre, unless they were beaten, the champions would not emerge. We welcome the sporting administrators and the Caltex guests who have come for the bicentennial edition of a famous event. Philip, this year, Caltex and the News had their Junior Award of Excellence, their Junior Pathfinder Award, more of that shortly. Our guest of honour is a man of speed. He has been outstanding over many years in Australian motorsport and has been successful in everything from track to rallying and heavens knows what else. Mr. Versatile of Australian motor racing is Colin Bond, and I'll talk to him alongside his new car after this break. Colin Bond. And here we are in the foyer of the Festival Centre with Colin Bond, and a new deal for you. The Alpha gives place to the Ford Sierra?
Well, it does for this year, Tony, yes. I must admit we had a mediocre year, I must say, last year with the Alpha. But once they sort of pulled out of the situation, they weren't involved with Group A racing this year. We thought we had to get a new motor car, and the Ford Sierra is the only choice, I'm afraid.
Well, it looks terrific, and of course it's in new livery. Now, will you be competing in all Group A races?
We plan to, Tony. We want to do the Touring Car Championship, so that's the first 8 or 9 races, and then after that we'll go into long distance races. It's, how can I say it? I think it's going to be an exciting year because, you know, these are the cars that have been winning in Europe. I feel that there's going to be a very good field of cars in Australia this year, and if you're not in one of these Ford Sierras, then you may not be in the race.
Now, you'll be at Bathurst, of course. The races you're talking of would include Bathurst and the Grand Prix.
True. What we plan to do is just run one car in the short races. When I say the short race, that's the Touring Car Championships. They're all about an hour and, say, 100 odd kilometres. But we plan to run 2 cars when it comes to long-distance races. We'll build another one in the meantime so that we can go to those long-distance races with 2 motor cars, which I think is fairly important these days.
Now, what we're talking about is news to the public at large. I must say this is very impressive. I wonder, from a motorist point of view, would you talk in our language about this car?
Well, it's very quick, obviously. It's only 2 litres and it's a turbocharged motor car. But they've got something like 475 horsepower to race with. It only weighs 1,100 kilos. It makes a very nice power-to-weight ratio, of course. And it's a fairly streamlined motor car with some very nice aerodynamics as far as spoilers are concerned at the back. So it's obviously faster than your average motor car. The race tyres make it go around corners much quicker than your average motor car. And really it's only meant for the racetrack.
Well, you intend to be very competitive. Can you win? Because you did once before the Touring Car Championship.
That's the main aim, I think, Tane. We've given ourselves the best shot this year of winning the championship. As I said before, I think you've got to be in one of these cars to be very competitive. We've got the equipment, we've got the team behind us, and I really think that 1988 could be our year.
I've got a googly to toss you up. Surely a team entry must stand a better chance overall than an individual entry.
Well, in the long-distance races, I would agree with that. I think Peter Brock's proven that a couple of times when he's jumped into his second car. But for the short races, which we're talking about, say now, the Touring Car Championship, if you have a problem there and you've got to stop and get in the other car, you've lost the race anyhow, so I don't think it happens there so much. But the long-distance races, I agree with you, it's nice to have 2 cars.
Colin Bond, our guest of honour, I invite you to join us inside now for the presentation of the Silver Statuettes, which is a tradition in this marvellous award, and I wish you and the CXT team every success.
Thanks, Tane.
The Caltex in the News Sports Star of the Year, a feature event on every sporting calendar. Well, of all the sporting achievements recognised during the year, 12 have again been chosen for the final, and they make their way onto this dais tonight. No stranger is Chris Dittmar, who is overseas and therefore represented by his dad, Alan Dittmar. Chris Dittmar defeated highly fancied Kiwi Ross Norman to take the European Open Squash Championship after a 14-month layoff through injury. And the young fella has clawed his way back into the world top 10.
Yes, he has, Tony. He's done a pretty good job, I reckon, after his injury and that. He's back to number 3 now.
Yeah, that's absolutely outstanding. Now, that reconstruction of his knee following the accident at the Glenelg Football Club,
yes,
has it left him with a legacy?
No, not really. It's just that he can't do a lot of road work. He's got to do a lot of running in the sand hills, and he's working on a climbing machine in the Adelaide Uni gym, which is very good.
Now, perhaps the greater highlight was he's making the World Cup final.
Yes, he made the final of the World Championship. It was a disappointing result for him, but he just wasn't good enough. It's a very tight competition. He's got now another Pakistani has come up, Jansher Khan, and then there's Jahangir, who went for about 5.5 years without loss. And apart from those two, there's quite a few, pushing, like there's a couple of young Queenslanders coming on, Rodney Martin and Chris Robertson. And apart from the 2 Packies, probably the next 10 can beat each other at any time anyway, so it's very tight.
Yeah, the competition is very fierce, but Australia is in a good position. Now, we've only just missed the opportunity of having him here tonight.
Yes, he only left Wednesday. He went back overseas on Wednesday.
And where is he at the moment?
At the moment he's in Canada.
Right, well, we would need to know that. And the British Open in May, I suppose, in the vernacular of the day, will be the go.
Well, that's right, yes. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, yours and ours too. Congratulations to him through you, Father. And he's a chip off the old block.
Thanks very much.
Colin
indeed.
Bond wants to make the presentation to you. Alan Dittmar for his son, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, the gentle giant who powered his way to the Caltex News Sports Star of the Year award for May, Robert Carruthers. The powerlifting sensation won nomination with ease after an outstanding performance in the Australian Powerlifting Championships in Perth.
Hi, Tony.
And in lifting a massive 900 kilograms, Robert, you broke 14 world, Commonwealth, national, state and everything records.
Yep. Yeah, well, I haven't really got much to say about it, but, well, what do you say?
Well, you've won a place already in the Australian junior team, haven't you, for Peru later?
Yeah. No, actually, no, sorry, the pre-trip was September last year, and that's when I won the World Championship.
Now, you arrived this morning, as I said earlier to our audience, I think, from a Surfers Paradise. What were you doing there?
Currently in training for a bodybuilding competition up there.
A bodybuilding competition?
Yeah, it's a different sport.
Now, that's becoming quite a lucrative thing, is it not?
Yeah, there's a bit of money involved now, but a lot of ladies and guys around are getting into the weights now. It's quite good.
And is it compatible with weightlifting?
There's more to be made out of bodybuilding at the moment, but powerlifting's certainly coming ahead.
Yeah, but are the training methods similar? Would you train the same for a bodybuilding contest as for weightlifting?
No, it's completely different. Powerlifting's a different sort of a diet to bodybuilding, more of a high-protein sort of a diet.
So how would your weight vary in the two disciplines, powerlifting versus bodybuilding?
Well, 4 months ago I was 128 kilo, and I'm 111 now. So it's a different sort of diet, different sort of training.
Which prompts me to ask, what are your body measurements?
Which ones?
Just the ones you feel you can tell us about.
Okay. Oh, well, not one for really keeping measurements and that, but chest is about 54, 55.
54? Yeah.
On a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, arms about 20. It's about 20, it's about.
It's bigger than my leg, yeah.
The waist is about 32, usually, at the moment, but a couple of months ago I was about 36, 37. That's not too bad.
Well, the local Hercules. 14 records. Robert Carruthers. Congratulations. Absolutely a qualifier for the major award. And now Caltex and the News announce the nomination of wheelchair marathoner Robert Turner. Robert Turner set the Olympic sports field track on fire when, during an interclub meet, he set a new world record in the paraplegic 5,000 metres event. He broke the world record by 24 seconds. Well, young fella, congratulations on your marvellous effort in Melbourne over the weekend. I happened to be there, and when you came into the stadium at the end of that 200 kilometres around Port Phillip Bay event, it was a real hero's welcome.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased with that. The whole team was exceptionally good. Everybody worked really well, and we had a couple of juniors in our team that really performed spot on.
Now, your times were particularly good, and of course it was open to all. The top runners were there.
Yeah, Steve Monaghetti was there, and there were a lot of good runners from Ballarat and Ararat, and from the police clubs and the fire brigade, and so there was some really good times put up.
And they raised something like $700,000. It was a magnificent effort. Now, tell us about your own times, and how would they compare, for example, with Monaghetti running 10K?
Well, they were as good, if not faster, than Steve's. On the first leg I raced against Steve, and I was in front of Steve up until the Westgate Bridge, and halfway up the Westgate Bridge he just pulled away and left me, and so I come in second on the first leg, but then our second guy took over their guy, and we got in front.
When are the state trials?
Next Saturday.
Big event for you, isn't it?
Very big event. It's qualifying, we can qualify for the Olympics, and also it's qualifying for our national games in Perth.
And will the Nationals be a bigger event? I ask that seeing that South Australia, of course, has dominated wheelchair events for some time.
Well, the Nationals is going to be very big. We've got international people coming out to race, and we should do very good. South Australia has been the champion state for the last 3 national games.
Well,
so
I have no doubts about you. You'll star, and Seoul will be your 3rd Olympics?
That's my 3rd, yes.
Yeah. How will you go?
I think I'll qualify.
I think you'll qualify like a breeze.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, good luck to you. Magnificent sportsman, Robert Turner, the wheelchair marathoner. Colin Bond to hand you a richly deserved Caltex silver statuette. Caltex and the news. With the Sports Star of the Year, seen all over South Australia through GTS and BKN covering Whyalla, Broken Hill, Port Augusta and Port Pirie, RTS 5, the Riverland, and SES 8, Mount Gambier, and if you're in those areas, a particular welcome to you. Finalist number 4, the order of naming them incidentally is inconsequential, the young hotshot who won 9 gold medals at the National Air Rifle Championship, Alison Feast. Alison bettered the record points score in the women's and the junior air rifle events, scoring 391 out of 400. Now tell me, is the kind of shooting you do the kind of shooting that we see in the Olympics?
Yes, it is. The 2 events that I shoot mostly are ladies' events in the Olympics. Of course, the men have 3 events when you have 2.
I see. Now, how close were you last time in the Olympics?
I top scored for the air rifle eliminations, but Sylvia Muhlberg, the lady who went, was 2nd in the air rifle, and she top scored in the 3 positions, so she went.
Explain exactly what you'll have to do to make it to Seoul.
Off to New Zealand on Friday, hopefully, which will win our quota places. And to do that, I need to win the match and shoot at least 365 out of 400, which is pretty easy.
I don't pretend to know how you do it, but I recall reading that a Bulgarian woman recently shot 39 bullseyes out of 40.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the kind of competition you're up against.
That's right.
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? How can you discipline yourself to absolutely no movement, no breath at the time you squeeze the trigger?
A lot of practice and a coach with a big whip.
Well, I think that's succinct, and I guess it's probably accurate. One of 5 daughters she is, and she started shooting at 11. Magnificent rifle shooter, Alison Feast. And our guest of honour, Colin Bond, the man of motor racing fame, does the honours once more. Named in our Davis Cup squad for Mexico, great tennis prospect, Darren Cahill, represented by his original coach in Jim Ferguson. Darren reached the Wimbledon mixed doubles final playing with Nicole Provis and shows many of the attributes like tenacity and ability passed on from his well-known father. Well, he's a very hard worker. They tell me he'll go through 3 practice sessions a day if it's necessary.
He'll do that and more if necessary. He's, over the last 10 years, put in an enormous amount of work on his game of tennis and building his body to withstand the rigours of the circuit. A true professional.
Yes, his mum told me, however, that the operation late last year was more difficult than expected.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. He, towards the end of the end of this year, in 1987, was having a real hot spot. He was winning doubles tournaments, and I think that he and Mark Kratzmann won 4 doubles tournaments in a row, and was playing magnificent tennis, but that knee really became a problem. When he came home, he found that he was going to have a major operation on that knee, and then 6 weeks off.
Yeah, now speaking of his mother, as I was, Liz, she timed her Wimbledon visits rather badly. She was there the year before and missed him this time when he made the final of the mixed.
Well, she would love to have been there for that.
Yeah.
But I would hate to have been on the side of the court with her trying to watch it. Would have been a nightmare.
Now, he teamed up with Victoria's Nicole Provis, and there is a family connection there.
There is. Lizzie and Lois Provis they ran a shop in Melbourne together, and I think if they have their way, Darren and Nicole may
may get together eventually if they have their way.
Oh, right. Now, what's news other than that from Mexico and the Davis Cup?
Well, with the Davis Cup in Mexico, there's 6 players in the squad, and Darren is not named in the original 4-man team, but is very keen, as are all the other members, to do well this week when they're playing practice matches against each other for those final single spots.
Well, we've not only married Darren off, but we've had a good representative for him here tonight in Jim Ferguson, and we wish him well in faraway Mexico City. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. All right, give us doing.
With Australia celebrating its 200th birthday, Caltex wish to acknowledge the achievements of Australia's young sportsmen and women. These young people represent the country's future on the playing fields of the world of sport. Nominations have been made by sporting bodies around the state, and a judging panel guided by the inaugural Sports Star winner Neil Hawke has chosen 4 finalists. This special award, in the form of a Sports Star statuette, will be given as recognition and encouragement in junior sports based on achievements during 1987. The finalists for this award are Craig Topperwain, Paul Carlin, Scott Russell, and Michael Lee.
Well, I'll applaud that too. I think it's a first-class inauguration. And so the Caltex Sports Star in South Australia introduces the Pathfinder Award, and Neil Hawke, as most people in this room would know, and most people I think throughout the state, was the very first Sports Star of the year. And the News and Caltex invited him to chair the committee which judged the nominations received. And so, with a great deal of pleasure, here is Neil Hawke. Well, Hawkey, is a bicentennial gesture and as a program idea, first class.
Absolutely, Tony. When they asked me to chair the committee, I thought that'll be beautiful, a free lunch with Caltex and no great problems. And of course, then the applications started to come in from the respective sporting bodies, and I tell you, it was no easy task. And I'd just like to take this opportunity of thanking Kathy Edwards, Margie Ralston, Kerry O'Brien, Karen Phillips for helping with this award. And I think when you see the names and some of the achievements that have been behind the people nominated for this, it's only going to be a matter of time before they're up here collecting the major award.
I wonder, would you do us the honours and announce the verdict?
I've got no idea myself. It was democratically elected. Margie Ralston has typed it. She knows I can't read. The winner of the Caltex Pathfinder Award is Craig Topperwain.
Here's the inaugural Caltex and News Junior Sports Star, the Pathfinder Award winner.
Congratulations, Craig, on behalf of everyone.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank the sponsors, News, Caltex and Channel 9. And also, I'd like to thank my coach, Stan Malbert, and my parents for the support they've given me. Thank you.
Now, I know what you did, and we saw a film clip, but it's best you tell us of your performances in athletics.
Well, I've been on 2 Australia teams. My first one was to New Zealand, where I picked up my best position in that was a 2nd place.
In what?
In 5 kilometre walk. And the second one was to USA and Canada, and I got a 3rd in that, in the 5K event in that as well.
All right. Well, I think we'll let him off the hook there by recognising that he'll be up here again in the years to come, and we all know that. And he is the inaugural Pathfinder Award winner for Caltex and the News. As Neil mentioned, his panel of judges included the former world record holder for the steeplechase, Kerry O'Brien, who is over here, and it's nice to see him again, the Athletics Association General Manager, Kathy Edwards, news representatives in Margaret Ralston and David Capel, and Peter Solomons of Caltex, who is the chairman's representative for Caltex in this state. The South Australian and Glenelg Rover, as we return now to the Senior Award, has been recognised for his outstanding contribution in helping South Australia win the Australian Football Championship. And of course, you know who I mean, Chris McDermott. Multi-talented Chris was voted best on ground against both Victoria and WA. In winning the Foss Williams and Simpson medals, Chris stamped himself as one of the country's best all-round footballers. Well, the picture for this year.
Well, we've got the Bicentennial Carnival, which comes up in March, which is a big thing for South Australia. We won the championship last year, but I suppose we played a fairly ordinary Western Australian side, which had been depleted by the Eagles sort of going into the National League. So maybe it's the first time we've had to play Western Australia in a State of Origin Carnival, so that'll be something new for South Australia.
What's made the difference between being a good footballer and a very good footballer?
I guess, I suppose wanting to do it's probably the most important thing. There's a lot of blokes that play football, and I guess at around 18 or 19 you've got to decide whether that's what you want to do or you want to do something else. And I guess there's other things in life for some people, but it's just probably a bit of dedication to doing what you want to do.
If you had to win one match and could only choose one guy to bring it off, who would you choose?
Well, we've got a bloke at Glenelg called Peter Carey, who's probably the most unlikely looking footballer you've seen. He's about 6'5" and about 200 pound and hasn't got much hair left, but he's probably one of the... I hope he's not watching.
I am.
He's probably one of the, pound for pound, be one of the best footballers, that's been around, and sort of playing so closely with him, I'd say him for sure.
Okay, now you're on a 3-year contract with Glenelg. What happens if the state goes into the National League?
Well, I've got to let out for that if that happens, but at this stage it doesn't look like that'll be eventuating for a while, but should it do? You have to ask Max that.
Well, he's here. Now, don't worry, there's Max. Max, to you as well as to my guest here, they thought you would go national. The eastern states thought you would go national this year. Are the players generally disappointed that South Australia did not?
I guess overall they're not, because we've seen what's happened to Western Australian competition that's suffered a fair bit, but I guess personally a lot of players would like to be involved should it happen in the near future before we're too old. So if Max can hear that before. But it's hard to say. You're going to lose players to Victoria regardless of whether South Australia join or not, but should it happen in the next couple of years, you wouldn't get too many arguments.
Good luck, Chris. Congratulations to you on winning an award. Another Caltex News silver statuette. And the Max we were referring to, with some chayaking, of course, was the president of the league. The history-making 462-run partnership by South Australian cricket captain David Hookes and Wayne Phillips against Tasmania earned that duo, of course, the Caltex News Sports Star Award for the month of March. David Hookes clubbed 306 not out in 398 minutes, the highest score of his first-class career, and Wayne scored 213 not out in 300 minutes. This
That's why he's standing back there.
You've got him
Come here, mate.
at fine leg, have you?
It's always David Hooks and Wayne Phillips. Never Wayne Phillips and David Hooks.
Well, come in closer, Wayne. They won't hear you from there.
And I got 300.
David, the best innings of the lot?
Mine, out of the two of us? Oh, easily. Mine was the best. From a personal point of view, I think that the magnitude of the innings must take precedence, but I think that the pressure that was applied by the opposition wasn't all that great, but I think when you look back upon it in 10 years' time, I think it might be up there number one, yes.
Right, even better than your century off 34 balls?
That was against the Vic, so that took a bit of beating. This was only against Tasmania, so there's a great deal of difference.
There they go, slather and whack. Wayne wasn't very impressed with that answer, incidentally. Your third 200 for South Australia?
That's right, yes, only 34 behind Bradman now. So,
Of course, as they say, we'll never see the likes of him again.
Then we won't with Wayne either.
But did you mean that seriously? Did he score, what, 37?
37 double hundreds, yeah, it's quite fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yes, you're right.
Now, the partnership was broken by the overnight interval, so did you two assess the second day? Did you go out there and say, we're going to give this a go?
Thanks, Tony, for asking me a question. Yes, we did.
But I'm happy to answer it.
We were aware of the partnership of Ian Chappell and Barry Richards, which was 307, and we were keen to break that because we'd heard of those two at least, and a few of the others we broke, we hadn't heard of some of the
I played
players.
with Ponsford.
So it was, we did know about it, and we were keen to break the 307, and when we did that, we kept going.
Well, it was fantastic. Now, a question to you, Mr. Phillips.
Thanks.
We've had a problem in Sydney over the last few days. What would you do about it?
Well, I'm not involved in television broadcasting, so it's not my fault what games they play when bad weather takes over the game.
So you'd want the commentator to answer, do you?
Well, he's nearer to it than I, yeah.
Oh, this is a serious answer, Wayne, or... Tony, I think that it's a very difficult transition from one-day cricket to test matches, and I think Australia have suffered that. They've won every one-day tournament since September, the World Cup, of course, the series against New Zealand and Sri Lanka, and I think they found it difficult to come to grips with Test cricket straight away, but there's a learning process that must go on, and I'm sure they're learning it.
But hang on, the English play one-day cricket too.
Yes, but they haven't for the last month and a half, where Australia have played day in, day out of one-day cricket. They've travelled from town to town with coloured clothes and orange balls and black side screens, and it just takes some time to readjust, and I'm being serious, mate.
How did the locals like the Sri Lanka match at Alice Springs?
They really enjoyed it. They got 3,000 people out of a population of 26,000 in Alice Springs. It's a pretty fair turn-up up there. And evidently Hooksy enjoyed it too. He doesn't remember a lot of it. So we really had a great time.
Your nose, we've got like Pinocchio for two lies.
We've had a great time with them, have we not? 462 and 300 minutes by Zig and Zag. Caltex and the News congratulate as finalist number 8, the Australian trampoline team captain, Liz Jensen. Liz topped off a brilliant year in November when she was named the South Australian Sportswoman of the Year. She also became the first Australian female to win 4 successive National Open Trampolining Championship titles. How old are you now?
I'm 21, but the newspapers still think I'm 19.
And how did you celebrate your 21st?
We went to the Glint Hotel and had a smorgasbord.
Oh, you did? That was a big night out?
There was about 40 people there.
Oh, well, that was a big night out.
Yeah.
Now, it's not an Olympic pursuit, will it ever be?
Oh, well, they've been saying that it'd be in the Olympics since about 1980. We're still waiting. But hopefully it'll be in 1992.
So the ultimate is still the World Championship, in which you finished, in the top 10 last time.
Yeah, I finished 8th in 86.
How much work are you putting in, Liz?
Putting in a fair bit, about 3 hours a day, and then I get Fridays off.
So 6 days a week, you're at it 3 hours a day?
Yeah.
Well, that's dedication, isn't it? And you're at the official table with Charles and Di just the other night.
Yes.
Well, you share a secret with us because we're not supposed to ask these questions. What did Di say to you?
Oh, well, someone said to Di, this is our trampolinist, Liz Jensen, and she said, "Oh, you turn upside down, do you?"
And did Charles talk to you?
Yeah, he asked me if I passed all my exams at school.
So he thinks you're 19 too?
He thinks I'm 17.
He thinks you're 17. Well, anyhow, you're pretty and you're very capable and you're a brilliant sports lady. The Sportswoman of the Year for South Australia and an award winner tonight for Caltex in the News, Liz Jensen.
Thank you.
So we're back in the Festival Centre for the Sports Star of the Year Awards, and they continue. Special guests who are with us tonight are Roger Holden, Managing Editor and Chairman of the News, and Reg Cordina, the General Manager of that organisation, and the Deputy Editor, Rick Acott, and all of the sports writers, and we give them a special welcome. Now to continue the finalists for the Great Award. The Outstanding Basketballer in Australia, Mark Davis. Mark Davis won the inaugural Most Valuable Player Award at the Australian Basketball Classic in Sydney, and the brilliant rebound forward had an outstanding series. Well, it would have to be that. They say to a man almost that you're the best in Australia.
Well, I think so. I hope to think so. You know, I'm glad that people think so, but I'm just another basketball player out there trying to do his job.
How long has the contract got to run?
I'm with Adelaide for another 3 years.
And are you likely to renew and stay here? You've married in America and come back with your wife. Are
Yes,
you
I
likely
have.
to settle here or not?
Well, just playing it by ear at the moment, see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Now, tell us about this rebound quality. What's required in that position to do the things and control work around the hoop that you do?
Well, one thing, I'm not a prisoner of gravity, so I can get up in the air. And the other thing is that rebounding, the whole key to rebounding is just positioning your body under the boards between the basket and the man.
Sounds very simple, but others find it very difficult.
Yeah, well, it takes a little bit of hard work and dedication, but if you're willing to put in...
Well, as with everything else, can you tell us what difference, if any, you've noticed in the standard in Australia since you came here?
The standard basketball has picked up quite a bit since I've been here. I mean, for the Adelaide team, I mean, we're striving to win championships, you know, as many as we possibly can every year and get to the grand finals. And it's getting tougher for us to get there every year, so I know the standard is picking up quite a bit because we definitely have a strong crew in Adelaide.
Well, we wish you continued luck here.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because you've been outstanding, and the crowd's coming in droves, aren't they?
Yep, they're getting there.
Yeah, well, here he is, the champ of basketball, Mark Davis. We're getting there. Number 10 is the spot taken by tennis star Louise Stacey. Louise won the Australian Women's Hardcourt Championship in Sydney, the youngest player to do so. Well, how old were you?
15 at the time. Turned 16 about 20 days ago.
Did you? Now, who previously was the youngest to do it?
Nicole Provis, she was 17. She won it the year before me.
And what kind of surface was it?
Rebound ace.
Oh, this rebound ace. Well, that's the go at the moment, isn't it? Now, the good and the bad of that surface.
I love it because I won on it.
Yeah,
But,
in all respects?
Yeah, it's really good because you can play the game, go to the net or stay at the baseline.
Lendl made an interesting comment after the Australian Open in Melbourne on that surface, saying the ball doesn't come through like he expected.
Yeah, it's quite slower than what you think it is, but I think it comes in fast enough for me.
Now, what's your next commitment other than school?
February the 29th, I go to satellite tournaments, which are open tournaments, to Newcastle, Canberra and Adelaide, and then I go off to Bangkok and Hong Kong a few weeks after that.
Well, she's got great ability and dedication and a fine all-court game. Louise Stacey. Congratulations, Louise. Well, with David Hooks and Wayne Phillips already accounted for, a third cricketer makes it to the final, and it's Peter Sleep, represented by Tim May. Peter was the unanimous choice for December after saving the third test against New Zealand and therefore the series. And you've been with the state squad up here at the Alice.
Yes, yeah, been up to the beautiful Alice.
And do you agree with the boys that it really is a worthwhile thing to be playing in these satellite areas, as they're called?
Yeah, you have a good time. The cricket up there is a good experience for the outback towns, and they enjoy their cricket up there.
Now, your teammate, Peter.
Yes.
Does he enjoy being referred to as Australia's top all-rounder?
I imagine he would. It's a fair rap. He's done a lot of hard work and he's deserved those accolades.
Now, where to from here for him? Because he was in the wilderness for a bit, and so have you been.
Yes. Where to from now? He's stamping himself as a world-class all-rounder, I think, and he's obviously going to work hard at his game, and he should be part of the scene for a long time.
Did it hurt him or inspire him to better effort being left out of the World Series Cup one-day series?
I'm not sure if he would have been that worried about it. The one-day Cup's really not a leg spinner's game, which is probably his primary reason for selection. And I think he would have appreciated the bowl back in Shield cricket to get into the swing of things for Test cricket rather than carrying the drinks.
Good luck for your own career. Tim May representing Peter Sleep.
Thank you.
Final nomination. Who is it? The first female athlete to win national titles in athletics and cycling, Donna Gould. The former Australian 3,000 metre and 10,000 athletic champion completed the double by winning the 3,000 metres individual pursuit gold medal at the national cycling titles in Sydney. And I'm very interested in the fact that you are the only South Australian ever to have ridden or finished in the Tour de France for women.
Yeah, we haven't had too many female cyclists in South Australia. The numbers hopefully will increase. Like in the eastern states, there's a lot more riders. So hopefully with me getting in the team, we'll get a few more girls out there on bikes.
Now, what are the differences between the men's Tour de France and the women's?
The women's Tour de France is run over 18 days instead of the men's distance, and we do the last third of the men's course, so where they might ride 250 kilometres for the day, we might ride 80 kilometres. We do the same mountains, but they might ride 5 mountains in one day. We might do 1 or 2 of them.
Trying to compete, let alone finish.
Well, the women's isn't quite as demanding as the men's because the distance isn't as far, but there's fairly big fields, and I was happy with my performance last year.
Well, particularly as you had a pretty bad fall and a bad puncture.
Yeah, a puncture just occurred and I lost time. I had a bad wheel change and lost 20 minutes on the bunch. But the falls, they're just part of cycling, you just have to accept them.
What's the prize money for the women?
I'm not real sure. Unless you're in it, up in the prize money, you don't worry about it. Ginny Longo, the French girl who won it, she'd be making a fair bit with sponsorship and stuff like that. It's not as good as the men's prize money, but the men's are professional, so...
Yeah. What would the women's prize be, though, in that case?
I think first in a stage is only a couple of $100 Australian and stuff like that. So.
Now, in athletics, have you decided that the best is behind you?
I haven't made any decisions on that. Like a few years ago, I wouldn't have said I weren't going to give away athletics for 10 years or something. In a couple of years, I've changed my course already. So I'm not making any predictions on what I'm going to do. I'm happy with the cycling at the moment, so I'm going to stick to that for a few years and just see what happens.
Well, in a top-class field, one of Australia's most outstanding athletes, Donna Gould. Award winner. Only one man at this moment really knows who it is. He is the Deputy Editor of the News, and so I invite Rick Acott to hand his committee's verdict to the presenter of the 1987 award. Ladies and gentlemen, the Premier of South Australia will make the announcement, John Bannon.
Well, thank you very much, Tony, and to you, to my ministerial colleagues, the Leader of the Opposition, Members of Parliament, Lord Mayor, our genial hosts from Caltex and the News, Mr Solomons and Murphy, and of course Mr Roger Holden. And ladies and gentlemen, well, this is the big moment. We've seen an amazing panoply of talent, sporting talent. I reckon one of the great things about this event each year is that it does give us an opportunity to recall sporting performances we probably forgot. It also gives us an opportunity to see what tremendous variety there is, what a wide range of sporting endeavour and sports are represented to the highest degree of excellence here in South Australia. So we've seen some great champions tonight. I don't envy the judges their task. Excellence, of course, is what we're after. The inspiration that they offer, and I must say the personality of our sportsmen and sportsmen and women come across in this presentation. Even the somewhat corny one-liners of Phillips and Hooks, I better put it around that way, provide us with a bit of enjoyment. How those fellas can break world records and be like that, I don't know. But this is the big moment, and I'm very pleased to announce that the winner of the 1987 News Caltex Sports Star is Chris Dittmar.
And of course, with Chris away, Alan Dittmar, his father, capably represents him. And before the Premier makes the presentation, I can tell you that having heard that he was in Toronto, we've run him down in the last half hour, and Scott McBain was clever enough to have recorded this interview with him, and here it is.
Chris Dittmar is currently in Toronto in Canada to take part in the prestigious Manham Cup tournament. Chris, first of all, congratulations on being named the 1987 Caltex Sports Star of the Year.
Yeah, Scott, thanks very much. It's, I mean, what can I say? It's fantastic news.
Mate, it's a long way you've come since the early days when you were a little fair-headed kid running around Len Atkins's Alberton Squash Centre, haunting people and playing squash.
Yeah, that was a long, long time ago. But I suppose, actually, it's fitting that you mentioned Len Atkins, because I guess he really started me off back then, back in the days at Alberton, and really throughout my career has sort of been a steadying influence on me, and has really helped me sort of go ahead all the time and made me believe in myself. So I guess he's one of the people that I should thank for everything that's happened.
Chris, that crippling injury back in '85 nearly put you out of the game. I guess it was a hard time for you at times. You wanted to give the game away, but you fought on and you're back up there again now.
Yeah, well, that's right, Scott. I had a long time at home sort of to sit back and reassess the situation and what I perhaps wanted to do in future. And I must admit there were times when I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to play squash again, but sort of friends and family and my wife Leanne talked me into it slowly but surely. And, you know, I had a lot of people help me. If I could, I'd like to thank them now. I guess it's a good opportunity, really. Because a lot of people really, even though I play an individual sport, I think it's true with most people that play individual type sports, there's normally a good group of people behind them. And that's been the case with me. There's been Robert Crouch at the Adelaide University, who really has just been, was persisted with me for the last couple of years and made me work harder than I ever have before. I mentioned Len Atkins, and a fella called Fred Howell, who's always been willing to practice with me whenever I'm home. And of course my parents, who years ago gave me the chance to travel the world and sort of have a go at it. So like I say, I've had a good group of people behind me.
Well, Alan's here to pick up your award tonight, and once again from all of us, congratulations on winning the award and good luck in the Manham Cup.
Great, thanks very much, Scott. And just quickly, if I could just thank Caltex and the News. I mean, really, it really is a big thrill for me to win this award, and I've envied people for years who have been winning this award, and I think it's tremendous that Caltex and the News sort of make this all possible.
Chris Dittmar, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bannon, and I would just like to endorse Chris's remarks. I would like to sincerely thank Caltex, the News and Channel 9 for making this award available. I know Chris really treasures the award, and he will be, well, you've heard, he is extremely pleased to have won it, and thank you very much indeed.
And so in the bicentennial edition of the Sports Star of the Year, we have a winner representing squash. Not for the first time, but the first time by a man. Vicky Cardwell won it 3 times, and now Chris Dittmar, following 2 years of great success by Lisa Martin. Ladies and gentlemen of South Australia, the Caltex and the News Sports Star of the Year is that squash champion, Chris Dittmar.
This has been another presentation of Nine's Wide World of Sports, your Winter Olympics Network.